Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj ki. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki. Ganga Mai ki. Yamuna Mai ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulsi Maharani ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. It's very nice to be back here at Radharadhanath Temple after some time, to be in y'all's association. Hare Krishna Maharaj. So we hope to speak something this morning that can be of some benefit to all of us, myself especially. So with y'all's blessings, we can continue the reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 24th chapter, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, and we will read this morning text 69. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Idam japata bhadram vom. Idam japata bhadram vom. Vishuddha nripanandana. Vishuddha nripanandana. Swadharmam anutishtanto. Swadharmam anutishtanto. Bhagavatyarpitashaya. Bhagavatyarpitashaya. Idam japata bhadram va. Vishuddha nripanandana. Swadharmam anutishtanto. Bhagavatyarpitashaya. Idam japata bhadram vo. Vishuddha nripanandana. dharmam anutishtanto bhagavatyarpitashaya. Idam, this, japata, while chanting, bhadram, all auspiciousness, va, all of you, vishuddha, purified, nripanandana, the sons of the king, swadharmam, one's occupational duties, anutishtanta, executing, bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, arpita, given up, ashaya, possessing all kinds of faithfulness. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My dear sons of the king, just execute your occupational duty as kings with a pure heart. Just chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. That will bring you all good fortune, for the Lord will be very much pleased with you. Purport. The prayers offered by Lord Shiva are very authoritative and significant. Simply by offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, one can become perfect, even though engaged in his occupational duty. The real purpose of life is to become a devotee of the Lord. It does not matter where one is situated, whether one is a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, American, Englishman, Indian, etc. One can execute devotional service anywhere and everywhere in the material existence, simply by offering prayers unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is also a prayer, for a prayer addresses the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His name and invokes good fortune by petitioning the Lord to allow one to engage in His devotional service. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra also says, quote, "My dear Lord Krishna, my dear Lord Rama, O energy of the Lord, Hare, kindly engage me in your service," unquote. Although one may be situated in a lowly position, he can execute devotional service under any circumstance, as stated, ahoy tukya pratihata. Devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. Srimad Bhagavatam 1-2-6. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommends this process. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukaritam bhavadiya vartam. Stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir jeprayaso jita jito apyasitais trilokyam. Bhagavatam 10:14-3. One may remain situated in his own place or in his own occupational duty and still lend his ear to receive the message of the Lord from realized souls. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle, and we are opening centers all over the world to give everyone a chance to hear the message of Lord Krishna in order to go back home, back to Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Translation again. My dear sons of the king, just execute your occupational duty as kings with a pure heart. Just chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. That will bring you all good fortune, for the Lord will be very much pleased with you. So we've just finished hearing the glorious song, prayer of Lord Shiva in his instructions to the Prachetas. And in this wonderful verse, Lord Shiva is offering them an amazing benediction about the result of simply chanting this prayer, or in general any prayer that's connected in glorification and service to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And the benediction that's being offered is that they will receive all good fortune, and that good fortune is based on the fact that the Supreme Lord will be very pleased by the chanting of these prayers. Just by the pleasure of the Lord, one attains all good fortune. And Prabhupada says that these prayers of Lord Shiva are very authoritative and significant. Authoritative in the sense that it's Lord Shiva. He is our great authority, being one of the Mahajans. Mahajana yena gata sapantaha. And we simply have to follow his authority in the matter of devotional service. Sometimes our minds get in the way of authority, right? Tarko pratishta shrutaya vibhinna. Sometimes we take authority from debate and argument, and whoever wins the debate, whoever wins the argument, that's the authority. Or from various scriptures. But here it's being described in the Mahabharata that what we simply have to do is follow the great Mahajans, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, and so on. Or Mahajana means actually any great authorized devotee in a parampara coming from Krishna. Simply follow them and not our minds. Because our minds can be very, very creative as to what authority to follow. But we have our authority. Some of the older devotees may remember His Holiness Krishna Das Swami used to talk about the 12 Mahajans, and then he would glorify Srila Prabhupada as being the 13th Mahajan, and really the most relevant Mahajan for all of us. So the most significant. So yes, they're very authoritative and significant. it's also very significant because not only is Lord Shiva such a significant personality, the greatest of the devotees, Vaishnavanam Jata Shambhu, what he's recommending to these prachetas is significant in the sense that it is such a simple process. Just chant this prayer and you'll receive all the greatest results. It's deceptively simple, isn't it? Just simply do this and everything will be received. So that in itself is very significant. Because sometimes in our complicated state, or our complicated view of things, we think that to get the most amazing, the highest results, one has to follow a very intricate, complicated process. Then only will you get the real thing. Like people who are very much, in Vedic culture, very much focused on performing elaborate rituals and austerities and fasts and so on. They consider that that's the real thing, because stemming from that complicated, intricate process, one gets the highest goals. And they look at us bhaktas as, oh, y'all are just emotional practitioners, just chanting the names and dancing. What are you really going to get? Prakashananda Saraswati and his thousands of Mayavad sannyasis had a similar sort of view of Lord Chaitanya and his followers. These are just emotional sentimentalists. What are they going to achieve? Simply by dancing and chanting. But no, the greatest results will be achieved. Just like in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after Kapila Muni instructs his mother Devahuti, Devahuti starts offering these amazing prayers to Lord Kapila. And she says that even if one has been born in a family of a dog eater, it's a nice way of saying actually a dog eater, just utters the holy name of Krishna, chants the holy names of the Lord, then one is understood to have practiced all the rules, all the rituals that are there in Vedic literature, visited all the holy places, performed all the fasts, whatever, studied all the literatures, simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna, simply by offering these prayers. And she even says, I think it's before that if one, no matter what condition one is in, even a dog eater, again she says, chants the holy name once, then one becomes eligible to perform all the Vedic sacrifices. Such is the assurance of the potency of the holy name of Krishna. So this is significant, what Lord Shiva is advising these prachetas to do. And we find that Srila Prabhupada, in the same spirit, he carried this principle or this mission of teaching the chanting of the holy names of Krishna all over the world on this principle. That in the Western world, people are so degraded, so low class, that they can never hope to perform all these intricate Brahmanical activities. Can't. It's be very difficult for them. What levels of purification will they need? But Prabhupada had such faith in the chanting of the holy names that this is the only thing that's really required. I remember we heard of an exchange that one of Srila Prabhupada's very dear godbrothers, Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, had with another godbrother of Srila Prabhupada, Bon Maharaj. You all may have heard of Bon Maharaj. He didn't really have a very close relationship with Srila Prabhupada, to put it mildly, I guess. So Bon Maharaj was discussing with Akinchana Krishnadas Maharaj, who was very close to Prabhupada. And Babaji Maharaj was asking him that, Maharajji, Srila Prabhupada, in reference to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, said, our Srila Prabhupada sent you to the West to preach, and Swami Maharaj, meaning Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada, he was also sent to the West. He also went to the West and preached. You chanted the holy name, he chanted the holy name. You preached Bhagavad Gita, he preached Bhagavad Gita. But you were a failure and he was a complete success. What is the difference? And then Babaji Maharaj answered himself. He said, the difference is that Swami Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada, had complete faith in the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and in the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So simply by having faith in this significant process, even though it seems simple, just chant, having faith in it and having faith in the assurance of Prabhupada in this process, then one will achieve the greatest success, all good fortune, because it is what will simply please the Lord. This is all one needs to do. Also in this purport we find, it's a really beautiful purport, we find that a major thrust of the purport is focusing on the principle of not adjusting one's material position in order to improve one's practice of devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada quotes from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Ahoituki apratyahata savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti radoksuje Ahoituki apratyahata. This is one of the definitions of pure devotional service. And in here Srila Prabhupada says Ahoituki. Of course we understand that Ahoituki also means it must be unmotivated, it must be pure, not for any other purpose than pleasing Krishna. But here it's being used in the sense that bhakti cannot be, as Prabhupada says in the purport, cannot be checked, cannot be adjusted or restricted or improved even by any material condition, by any material adjustment. We cannot do it. So sometimes we think, let me change this circumstance, let me change that, let me move to this place, let me go here, whatever, the grass is greener on the other side. But that doesn't really work in its ultimate sense in the process of devotional service. What is most important is not the material circumstances, that whether they should change or not. What is important is one's consciousness in whatever circumstance one is in. And Lord Chaitanya taught this, as Prabhupada also quotes this famous prayer of Lord Brahma that Lord Chaitanya often spoke in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. Jivanti san mukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita. This very important two words, stane stita. Remain fixed in your position. Sthana can mean various things. One is, stay where you are. You are in Chatsworth now, stay where you are. Like Prabhupada says, therefore the Krishna consciousness movement has been based on this principle. He's opening centers all over the world. So his center is opened here. It's not that we need to leave Durban to become Krishna conscious, thinking, let me stay in Vrindavan or Juhu, Bombay in my case. So that you have to go there to be more Krishna conscious. The change of place won't have a significant effect unless one's consciousness is in the right place. Because wherever we go, what do we carry with us? Our mind. We still carry the mind with us. We still carry our consciousness. So no matter what situation we are in, sthane sthita. So that's one understanding of sthane. Stay where you are. Don't be restless. Go here, go there, everywhere. Just have the right consciousness. Sthane also means whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever occupation, whatever activity you find yourself in, you do not have to unnecessarily change it, thinking that this change is going to be better for me. We know in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna had a similar plan, right? He's a Kshatriya by nature, a very accomplished Kshatriya, the greatest of Kshatriyas on the planet at that time. But now he was faced with the dilemma, and he was thinking, let me change, let me act like a Brahmana. Let me change. That will be better for the situation, from his perspective. But Krishna teaches him, no, he dissuades him from this path. That it's better to perform your own occupational duty, even if it's done imperfectly. even if it's done imperfectly, than to perform even another person's occupation, even if you do it perfectly. And the reason behind this, Krishna says, is because if your actions performed according to your natural occupation, they do not incur sin. If it's done in the mood that it is for Krishna. So that's what Krishna tells Arjuna. Whatever you do, do it. Whatever you're meant to be doing, do it, but thinking of me. For my pleasure. Then there's no sin. So we also, sometimes we may get caught up even in the practice of devotional service. This is not working out. Let me find this situation. Let me find that, changing all the time. No. It may be that it's necessary. It may be that currently we may be in a activity that's really going against the grain of our natural proclivities, and a change may be necessary. But if we are changing based on material results that we want to achieve, even within the Krishna consciousness movement, then the change won't help our bhakti develop. I was just telling someone yesterday, we were having a little discussion, and I was embarrassingly sharing with them an initial, ambitious plan I had laid out for my Krishna consciousness when I first sort of joined the ashram. I see it now and then. It's kind of humorous when you see it in hindsight, that we were young bhaktas in the temple, and at least I saw ISKCON in a very hierarchical type of way, that now I'm a bhakta, and eventually, we'll get initiated, we'll become a brahmachari, so it's a step up. And eventually, who knows, we'll become a part of the management, department head pujari, temple president, GBC, sannyasi, guru, all these different levels. Because all these levels equate to advancement of my bhakti. Or so we thought. And of course, the top level was being the spiritual master, because that's very attractive from a materialistic point of view. That's the best position to have. And then somehow Krishna blessed me. I got the service of serving my spiritual master, and after 3 days I realized I don't want to be a spiritual master. This is too difficult. Very difficult service. So we must understand that all these different changing positions, even within the context of a Krishna conscious institution, if one is engaged in any of things based on some material aspiration of recognition or a material understanding of what is a better position, then that's not really ultimately pleasing to Krishna. What is pleasing to Krishna is the attitude of being a devotee, the attitude of being a servant. Actually, I was listening to a class of His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami yesterday, and he was saying, now if you know Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj's history, he served as an editor to Prabhupada's books, and he later became the editor to Back to Godhead, and so on. And he was saying, Srila Prabhupada once commented that the sweeper of the temple room is as good as the editor of Back to Godhead magazine. So the principle is the consciousness behind whatever we are doing. If the temple room sweeper is thinking, this activity is not good for me, I want to be the temple president, because they get all the perks, the nice parking spots, they get the glam first, all these things. These things look good on my resume, so to speak. Then that is the wrong consciousness. And we can think of Jayananda Prabhu, one of the ISKCON great saints in our movement, who Prabhupada really, really loved. So much so, I think he's the only devotee in our movement where Srila Prabhupada said, on his passing, observe a 3-day memorial festival and have a feast in his honor. Such a significant person. But he's not known in the world of ISKCON as being high up in the institution. He's not known. But everybody recognized him at that time, so early on in the movement, late 60s, early 70s, as being a real great saint. He was the temple president, I think, of the San Francisco Center, or definitely on the West Coast. And he would often be seen taking out the garbage at night, taking out the trash at night. Such was his consciousness. And people would comment that if a person with this type of consciousness is happy to take out the garbage, can you imagine then the whole state of the movement? They saw his behavior as being reflective of the wonderful nature of the Krishna consciousness movement. We hear so many stories about Jayananda Prabhu's mood and spirit that once there was a program, devotees had arranged a big hall program, and Prabhupada went in, of course, with lots of fanfare and devotees chanting around him, Jai Prabhupada, and so on, took him to the stage. And after the program, as he was coming out, still with all that fanfare, kirtan leading him out to the car, he noted Jayananda Prabhu in the kitchen preparing packs of prasadam for all the guests. And Prabhupada went directly to him and sat with him for a few minutes, speaking privately with him. Very attractive personality was Jayananda, also attracting Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada's attention. So yes, even within our Krishna Consciousness institution, one must be moved by external positions. This is important. One must never be moved. And sometimes, at least I used to think this, maybe some of you may think, I used to sometimes think, I need to hang out with the big people of the movement, then I'll be known. And it's true, it definitely has a significance that if you associate with very advanced devotees, then one will definitely be purified, one will definitely make advancement. So that should be the focus. Let me make advancement, let me be purified by their association, but not let me associate with them so that I can also become known and prominent and recognized. Then we contaminate that holy exchange of being in the presence of a senior Vaishnava. One must be careful of that as well. And that's something, at least in my life, when I look back at Krishna consciousness practices and different ideas that I had, you can find all these things sometimes there. Let me change my position to be in that, so it'll better my practice of bhakti. But if we change our positions, or even our locations, based on material considerations, then it won't help. It won't help our bhakti. Rather, it could be detrimental to our bhakti. But if on the guidance and advice of senior Vaishnavas, experienced Vaishnavas that we trust, that have our best interest, if we have to change for the sake of improving our bhakti, with the consciousness that this is for the service of Krishna, then it will help. Otherwise, just simply changing whimsically doesn't help at all. Also, another thing about Jayananda, I just remembered, in terms of his spirit of service, the mood of service. Now, Jayananda Prabhu, of course, was a very senior devotee, and His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami tells the story of one experience he had with Srila Prabhupada and Jayananda Prabhu. I heard this same story said in a few ways, so I'm not sure which one is the actual factual account, but the whole intent behind it is very wonderful. The whole lesson in it is very wonderful. That once Tamal Krishna Maharaj came to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's secretary or assistant stopped him at the door. You can't meet Prabhupada now, he's busy in a meeting. Now, if you know Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that's not something you do, stop Tamal Krishna Maharaj from entering somewhere. So he was a bit bewildered, like, how can I not see Prabhupada? Like, what is Prabhupada doing that I cannot see him? He says, no, he's meeting with Jayananda. So anyway, Tamal Krishna Maharaj still went in, and he noticed that Jayananda Prabhu was being given the Gayatri mantras by Srila Prabhupada. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying, no, but He's already second initiated. Why is Prabhupada giving him Gayatri mantras? It doesn't make sense. He actually received Gayatri before I did. And he's already a sannyasi now, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So he asked Srila Prabhupada, what's going on here? Jayananda is already second initiated by you. And Prabhupada said, no, Jayananda wants to learn how to chant the Gayatri mantras. He's not doing it properly. So Prabhupada was teaching him the Gayatri mantras. And Jayananda was learning it, again, after some years. And afterwards, Srila Prabhupada said, this is not going to work. Because he was just pronouncing it all wrong. He said, you'll never get it. You'll just never get it. It's a waste of time. But that doesn't matter for you. That doesn't matter for you, meaning Jayananda, because of his spirit of devotion to Krishna. Now, this is not, I'm not saying this pastime as a suggestion that don't worry about how you practice your chanting of the Gayatris and your pronunciation and things like that. But the principle behind it is our consciousness in what we are doing, behind what we are doing, not the external results of it, not how the intonations and the emphasis on the different vowels and words and syllables of the Sanskrit language are important. No, it's the spirit of devotion that must be carried throughout all our activities. This is most important. Just like that Brahmana or that person who was reading Bhagavad Gita every day in South India, and everybody would be ridiculing him, the children will make fun of him. And Lord Chaitanya noted this, went up to him and noticed that he was crying. He was very emotional while reading Bhagavad Gita, even though everyone knew he was illiterate. So how can he read Bhagavad Gita? And the Lord asked him, my dear sir, why are you crying? You are reading Bhagavad Gita, why are you crying? And the Brahmin told him that, my dear sir, I am illiterate, I do not know how to read, but my spiritual master asked me to daily read Bhagavad Gita. To daily read Bhagavad Gita. And when I think, when I think of Krishna, who is so kind to his devotees, that he chooses to become the servant of his devotee Arjuna, to act as a charioteer, I am moved to tears in deep appreciation of our Lord, and therefore I am crying. So the Lord, what did he say after that? He says, my dear sir, you are the true knower of the Bhagavad Gita. Not because he knew all the 700 verses off by heart or could chant it in the right meters, the right pronunciation. No, because he understood the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Again, devotees, this is not to say that let's just cut straight to the essence, because you cannot cut straight to the essence if you do not apply yourself in the process that Prabhupada has given us. The sadhana process, the way to properly hear and chant, to study his books, to serve in the appropriate ways. Because sometimes that's another challenge we may face. That, Prabhu, it doesn't matter as long as I love Krishna. Can you imagine if you take that spirit into deity worship? We'll have all sorts of havoc in the altar and in the kitchen. Prabhu, I love Krishna. I would really, really like to make sugar beans, bunny for Radha Radhanath. Who knows? Maybe he wants to have it, but we don't know. Therefore, we follow the Mahajan, the authority, in every aspect of our movement. And that's Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, in deity worship, don't manufacture anything. Just do what I have given. Otherwise, there'll be havoc in our movement, Srila Prabhupada said. So sometimes we may think, I am very devotional, I love Krishna. Who cares about all these other details? No. Therefore, we need guidance from experienced Mahajans. And we have Mahajans in our movement, our spiritual masters, the sannyasis, the senior devotees. They are also Mahajans, and we take guidance from them on how to practice. So, materially, we must not just change our positions thinking that, yes, this will be good for me, I'll practice better. But at the same time, one mustn't be confused to think that it's okay, as long as I am devoted, who cares if this is a little amiss and that is a little off here and there. As he sometimes said, love is also found in the details of how we practice our bhakti. That's also there. It's very, very important. Also in the verse that Prabhupada quoted, Jnane prayasamudapasya namanteva, a very significant verse. The commentators on that verse in the BBT edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Prabhupada had just stopped translating the Srimad Bhagavatam just a few verses before this section. Prabhupada had just passed away by then. And so the BBT commentators, Redananda Das Goswami, in their commentaries they quote a really wonderful commentary by Srila Sanatana Goswami on the words Jita and Ajita, meaning that the Lord is who is Ajita, who is known as being unconquerable, that he becomes Jita, he becomes conquered by his devotees. So they quoted this really wonderful explanation on the words Jita and Ajita and the words Tan Vanomi, Tanu Van Manobhir, meaning that the devotee worships Krishna, serves Krishna with their tanu, their body, their words, and their minds. And in that way, by doing it in that way, they conquer Krishna. So Srila Sanatana Goswami says that for the non-devotee, or rather he starts off with for the devotee, they are able to conquer Krishna by their body because they are able to touch Krishna using their hands, their body. They are able to summon Krishna by their prayers. And they are able to always be in the presence of Krishna by thinking of Krishna within their minds. So in that way, the devotee, the pure devotee, is able to conquer Krishna using those three things, Tanuvan Manobhir. Then Sanatana Goswami says that for the non-devotees, they can never hope to conquer Krishna by their bodily strength, by their verbal expertise, or by all their mental speculation. They'll always be unable to catch the ultimate aim in life, even though they may be very expert in their bodily activities, their mental abilities, and their oratory abilities. They'll never be able to grasp Krishna or conquer Krishna. And finally, he says, Sanatana Goswami says that Krishna, his body, Tanuvan Manobhir, his body, his words, and his mind becomes conquered by the pure devotee. And how? That Krishna's body becomes conquered because he always is eager to be at the side of his devotee, always being right there. His words become conquered because he is always eager to glorify his devotee. And his mind becomes conquered because he is always thinking of his devotee. So this is the result of the process that Lord Shiva is offering to the Prachetas. Simply chant this prayer. And Prabhupada expands it or extends it to simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You will conquer Krishna. The devotee conquers Krishna in these three ways, and Krishna becomes conquered in these three ways as well. No matter what one's external condition is, one can be, as we spoke about Devahuti speaking those two verses to Kapila Muni, even if one is a dog eater, it does not matter. If simply one embarks on this process, this result of conquering Krishna will be achieved in due course of time. One simply has to do that. And we find how committed Srila Prabhupada was to this principle, this foundational principle of our movement, that the chanting of the holy names of Krishna will yield all success. One need not actually have to do anything else. Actually, Srila Prabhupada once commented that actually the only thing we really have to do is to chant the holy names of Krishna 24 hours a day. Says, but because you American boys and girls are so restless, you cannot simply just do this one thing. I have to give you so many other engagements to do. But ultimately it boils down to this one thing. Just simply chanting the holy names of Krishna. And of course, that's not to discount the other activities of building temples and distributing books and worshipping the deities. That's all necessary for us to keep us purified and attentive to the main process of chanting the holy names of Krishna. So I'll stop here. Maharaj, would you like to share some comments and corrections, please?
Well, I could just make a little comment, something I read in the 9th canto, just maybe it was Thursday or Friday, going through the 9th canto, and Prabhupada was talking about changing one's location and a devotee. And Prabhupada saying that a devotee may think, yes, I should go to Vrindavan because that's a better location. But Prabhupada's making the point that if you go to Vrindavan and specifically that you commit offenses, better to leave Vrindavan and just go back to wherever and just carry on in your Krishna consciousness.
True. Because his principle was to have the consciousness of serving wherever you are, is to serve without offending, without committing offenses. I remember Giriraj Swami, when he was temple president in Bombay, he heard that Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and he thought, let me come to Vrindavan to spend some days in the association of Prabhupada. He thought, I'll spend 5 days there. He bought a train ticket to go to Vrindavan, and after 5 days, the train ticket back to Bombay. And Prabhupada was very ill, of course. He was lying in his bed, but he noted, he either was told by his assistant that Giriraj is there, or he noticed through the window that Giriraj is there. And he said, what is Giriraj doing here? He cannot leave Bombay. So that was conveyed to Giriraj Maharaj, and Maharaj immediately adjusted his ticket and went back to Bombay to continue his service there. So the principle is where you are best situated to please your spiritual master. That is the principle that we must somehow find. But sometimes our minds are restless, and I know I did this once to my spiritual master. My mind was restless, I needed a change. So I very intelligently created a unbreakable, you couldn't dismantle my presentation to him why I needed to leave Durban and go somewhere else. It was a very good plan. I needed to go here because these are the situations. So in that instance, my spiritual master didn't tell me, no, this is not going to be good for you. Stay here and continue your service. Because I wasn't emotionally ready for his rejection of my plan. Sometimes the spiritual master acts like that. Sometimes we go to the spiritual master with, like I did at that time, with a presentation that I have to do this. I'm giving you all these arguments. You've got no other thing to say except, yes, do it this way. So he went along with that plan, even though he could have said, no, I don't like it, don't. But he could see my psychology at that time was, I want to go. I just need to go. I need to get out of here. But then some months later, I changed and I was more open to coming back and serving. So sometimes we find the spiritual master will do that. Will go along with your plan, even though it may not be the best, but to bide time, and when the time is right, to bring you back to the right place. And that has happened to me once or twice, yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
And that verse, Tanuvan Manobhya, Giriraj Maharaj, I remember in Mulder's Drift many years ago, he got into that verse. And every class, he was repeating that verse for quite some time.
Thank you. Isaiah?
Hare Krishna. So, how does the spirit of devotion look like for an average Joe?
He looks like you. Average Isaiah. How does the spirit of devotion look for the average person? Would you like to expand a little more on?
Yeah, because the spirit of devotion seems very far away from me, and I think that's for realized persons. But when you don't have devotion in the theological sense, what do you do? Do you follow mechanically, and how long can that be sustainable for? More or less, you understand what I'm trying to ask? Hare Krishna.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could ask now, you've been associated with the devotees, with the process, chanting, dancing, attending classes, taking prasadam, associating with devotees. Why are you still here?
Should I answer?
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of attraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So devotional service is very attractive. It's one of the characteristics of devotional service that's mentioned by Rupa Goswami. It attracts Krishna. Of course, he's speaking about pure devotional service can completely attract Krishna. But even on our level, our practice of devotional service is also attractive to Krishna. And when Krishna is attracted to us, then within us a sense of happiness develops. One becomes happy. Even in the midst of everything else one may be experiencing, one becomes happy. One becomes peaceful. And sometimes one would be very happy, very ecstatic from time to time. It happens by Krishna's grace. So that is how devotional service can present itself, just by these, in one sense, to some people who do not know the philosophy, the science of devotional service, the science of rasa, it seems inexplicable. Why am I just happy by taking prasadam? You know, I can eat prasadam, as Maharaj was asked yesterday. I can have something nice at Debonair's, a pizza, or I could have a pizza here at Govinda's. But the experience of happiness not based on the tongue is different. So many people comment. I hear this from so many Indian people, because we are so surrounded by Indian people. They have this concept of parasad. They call it parasad. That temple food, temple prasad is special. Something special. It's so amazing. They can't explain it because it's from the temple. It's from Krishna. Likewise, associating nicely with devotees is so special. But it must be done nicely. It must be done nicely. It's so special. It's so attractive, and it gives so much of happiness. If one hears the pastimes of Krishna with the right mood, with the right consciousness, it's so wonderful, better than reading, I don't know what the great authors of today are, better than reading their works. Because this is Krishna. Krishna is all attractive. He becomes attracted to you, and you become attracted to him. I'm trying to recollect this one exchange Prabhupada had about how do you know that Krishna is there. He asked the devotees, I don't know if you heard of this exchange, how do you know if Krishna is there? And the devotees gave many different views of, how this, like logically speaking, shastrically speaking. And then one devotee ventured, no, because I can feel. I can feel this. I can feel Krishna's presence. So one should try to purify one's consciousness by the careful practice of the regulative principles, by the careful practice of the regulative process of rising early, the purifying process of Mangal Arati, chanting nicely, the careful process of being purified by the association of devotees without committing offenses, and then that will take away one's coverings and allow one to feel. It's not a sentimental process by any means, it's a scientific one in the sense that if one does this nicely, under the guidance of the teacher, then one will feel Krishna's presence. If you are not feeling Krishna's presence, then your approach to the process is a little faulty. Something we are doing is wrong in that scientific experiment. Something's amiss there. So you will feel, you must feel it if it's done properly. So the average Joe, the average Isaiah, if they practice this experiment perfectly under guidance of the expert teacher, then they will feel it. And once they feel it, it'll be like no other feeling ever experienced before. Definitely. And you'll never leave. Like Prabhupada wrote one disciple, now you are permanently infected and you can never leave. You're going to get that letter shortly. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.